All right, first, good evening. Welcome. This is Simply Put. Let me just go up to this music here. We are done wait until he dies or she dies. Get the help when needed. This is one of your regular tradition. Want to be here. Simply put, they're going to quantify, simplify, brings it into a smallest context. And the presenter of angle of this program is Sizi Goyah. Is based in Minnesota, an educator and also senior analyst of the Lpr-Tv radio. MALLAY Jones is going to be here, and hopefully the rest of the analysts are going to be here. They're going to pull in the simple. I let it the hard way. I don't want no simple put. But today they're going to be looking at the Wyatt situations. That's a West African Examination Council. More or less, it's an educational program. So let me get obvious.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to the Liberian Public Radio. My name is Sizi Goyah, and welcome to our second show in a series of Simply Put. So, people usually speak to us in jargons, and they talk way above everybody else. The intent of this show and of this program is to just tell our people simply, just put it simply put, what do you want to do for the Liberian people? Simply put, what does it mean for the Liberian people? Because at the end of the day, we want to simplify things so that our people can understand. We want to cut this food down into chunks that can be intellectually digestible to our audience and to our people. So simply put, my people, where you get it, tell it, Liberian people. Welcome, everybody. This edition is going to be looking in depth at WAEC, that's the West African Examination Council, the pluses and minuses, and hopefully my guest here today, the the radical liberal MALLAY Jones, will be able to tell us and give us some prescriptions on the way forward on how to deal with the West African Examination Council issue. I do, however, want to lay out a caveat that even though we're in the election seasons, this conversation today is not meant to take a political angle. It's not meant to put on political hats. We are not here to look at a John 11:35 issue. Jesus wept, we know it. But what happened before Jesus wept and what happened after Jesus wept? So we're going to look at what led us to where we are with WAEC, what is happening currently with WAEC, and how can we make prescriptions devoid of politics on how we move our liberal education system forward. Welcome, folks. We hope you can interact with us. If you want to join us, just let us know. We get you to call in, and we want you to say your 2 cents. Because at the end of the day, we don't believe that we have the prescriptions by ourselves. We are hoping to have a collective thought process on the way forward for our Liberian people. And so as we await my brother to join, I will say to my producer, if he can,
Yeah. Let me kind of keep you company here because what's about to happen here, I don't want to be part of it, but let me just hang on here. So you. This is not a surprise topic for me coming from out of you, especially with Wyatt. What prompted this conversation here, by the way?
So, you and I, we've been talking a lot of time about curriculum and testing and WAEC and everything. And it's been put on the back burner for a while. But when my brother MALLAY Jones brought that up the other day, it kind of struck a chord. He laid out some very good points. I think they're thought-provoking, and we have to look at them. What is the essence of WAEC? Why you didn't have WAEC? What is the importance? Is it adding anything net to us as a nation? And it's even equitable for us to be judging our students based on a sub-regional high-stake standardized test. And for me as an educator, whenever you start talking standardized testing, it piques my imagination. So that's the reason I decided, you know what? Instead of this being an argument between two analysts on LPR for a short time, let's bring it up to the Liberian people. Let's take this out of the politics and bring it outside and have a conversation.
And what is the ultimate goal? Have the conversation, and what next?
Well, my brother Mali is a very research oriented guy. So he will bring the research. We will talk about it. But the end result is, at minimum, to open the conversation and start looking at prescriptions. We're not just going to sit here and say everything that's wrong with WIAC and drop the mic. That is not going to be the intention of the show. We're going to say things we see that are good, if there are any, and places we see where there are opportunity for growth. And what might those growth look like? So those prescriptions, things that we think might work. And that is the reason I'm inviting our audience to come along for the ride, because we hope to have a perspective of the people in Liberia. Because quite too often we sit in the comfort of our air-conditioned homes in the United States, in the diaspora, and try to provide a prescription for people in Liberia. And I don't want this show or any of the programs that appear on Simply Put to be about that. This is about the Liberian people's life. We want to make sure we have a collective understanding. And so to a greater extent, I'm actually hoping that this lays the groundwork for other conversations. Like when we start to talk about healthcare later, that we can look at healthcare devoid of politics. Yes, everything is political, but sometimes you can provide prescriptions outside of who's in the executive mansion. And I'm hoping we can take that also to justice. We can take that to social welfare and reform. So we can start looking at these things as Liberians, and then allow other people to come on and have their varying views. And we have to respect that, because that's the only way we can come up with solutions for our people.
Okay, while Mallay is waiting on, Mallay, you are not there yet. You're just saying yourself, go off and come back. Once you're there, we'll bring you. That your trouble is starting. I don't want to be part of it here. Yeah, he's go off and come back. Once you surface, I will see that shadow in the backstage. All right. I will just be on yet to keep the ball rolling, but let's recognize, Mr. Emmanuel People's Choice Gay. He says, watching from Nima, Sunny put it, Nima County, People's Choice. Emmanuel, are you seeking for a representative position or Senator, you People's Choice? I want to be the SAO and then to Edwin. Yeah. So I try to perform a surgical operation profile this conversation here. I'm wondering, you are heavily involved in politics. Mallay is also, you guys have a side. There's no way that we say politics cannot be inserted into it, because it's all politics time. And these people ultimately going to be making some decision when it comes to the education, health, as you're going to dive into all of that differently in time. Is it because, Mr. Goyah, much is not being said about these people that are contesting and the questions surrounding the West African Examination Council, which of course yourself has expressed a lot of concern. Is it a problem, or what is it actually is it about?
I think the problem is, one of my buddies texted me when I said we are not going to be political. He said, "But man, how can you do education without politics?" I started laughing, right? He said, "You of all people know education is highly political." I said, "Yeah, I get it." But the point I was trying to make is we're not going to come here and start putting the blame game on and start saying, ever since 1822, things have been great until George Weah came to power, right? Or ever since 1822, things were great before Ellen came to power. We're not going to do that. The first thing is to look at this at the system holistically and see what's missing and what's not missing. What can we bring into the fray to help our people? Yes, and I'm not going to try to deny this. A lot of our people that are running for the highest office right now, even our senatorial candidates and our legislative candidates, who are supposed to be coming up with laws to either fix WIAC, you don't get them talking about education. You get them, they talk about it in passing. Oh, when I win, I will make education great. When I win, I'll do it. How? What are you going to do? And I think because even us as people who sit on these platforms and our brothers in the media, the journalists, when they ask questions, they don't go deep into these questions. And so people have just been paying lip service to the Liberian people. And so when I win, I'll make healthcare number one. When I win, education will be the greatest. And so because of that, I really want to deeper into, what's happening and how can we all actually understand what's happening with curriculum, what's happening with standards, and what's happening with testing, so that when we talk to our people that we support, we can start telling them to start to look deeply at these things, right? So here's our brother from Sani Kole, for example, Henry. I was reading somewhere that that historic city was named after a warrior, Sani, who used to be a foot soldier for another female warrior, Swakoko, right? And she moved on from Swakoko rank and went to Sani Kwele, hence the name Sani Kwele, named after Sani. And I started to read about the likes of Lango Lepe. So my holistic point here is that why do we have these warriors, these giants that we've named places after, but we've never had a time or the appetite to discuss them and teach about them, to get our brothers and sisters to learn about them and try to elevate what it means to be a giant in Liberia. Discussing a lady like Madame Sua Koko, right? Or if it is truthful, a person like a warrior like Sani, or Lango Lepe, or the likes of Baltimore, and all of those people. We don't discuss those. But folks want us to learn sub-regional history, which is good, but that should not be at the detriment of Liberian history.
Talking about Baltimore reminds me, the late Baltimore wife, I'm not sure what I should say alive, but she was one of my professor as well. Very smart, articulate. I mean, her explanations surely tells you her husband, that somebody she really glued to, wrote that book. What is wrong with the system as far as you are concerned? Now, it's going to be a little tricky and dicey one year. I'm watching to see how that's going to square out, because you are a teacher or classroom teacher. You're presiding over a huge group of educational program here in the West. We are talking about in Africa. Africa, that's two different things, but ultimately they are all about molding the minds of the young people and making education what it should be. How are you going to navigate through those together? Because you're gonna be having conversation with a diverse group. USA, Liberia, like in the case of our man, Henry is in San Equele, so he might be wondering, is he going to be talking about the Western education style way of doing things, or where his conversation going to be going? I'm just a little curious to know.
Well, no. So everything you do, when you try to replicate it, you have to make sure you see the environment you're in that you're trying to replicate this, and you try to account for naturally occurring things in the environment. For example, our culture, right? So I can take the American educational system and try to juxtapose it on Liberia, but I have to be mindful of things that are happening on the ground that will make it difficult for me to just take it holistically. So we have to be able to edit it and modify it to fit our food. So here is where I come from, right? In Minnesota, right now we have the Minnesota Comprehensive Exam, the MCA, which is kind of similar to the West African Examination Council test. You take that test to let us know. Initially, it used to be a requirement for graduation. Now it's not. Now it is just a stress test of the system. Students take those tests, and we send the scores back to the schools. And the schools.
So why was it stopped? Was that something?
Yeah, because what educators, and this is backed by research, have shown is that high stake testing, which is what ACT, SAT, all these things are. They're high stake, which is exactly what the West African Examination Council exams are. They do not show how much you have learned. There are some people who are very good at taking high stake tests. There are other people who understand the material, but they take high-stake tests and the anxieties and everything associated with it and the pressure gets them to crumble. So you are really not getting an effective evaluation of what your students know, right? And so what we change this into now is a stress test. If your schools are failing, so for example, if WIEC truly has a curriculum and a standard that has been adopted by the Ministry of Education, then the test results of WIEC should be used as a stress test on our system. If, for example, Joe Blow High School has their seniors taking WIEC and maybe 20% of them passing and 80% of them failing, Instead of saying Joe Blow High School is a college go graduate school and leave it operating, what we have to do is to say, okay, what is the reason? Is Joe Blow High School not teaching the curriculum with fidelity? Are they teaching something else? You got to check that, because by law, they're supposed to teach the standard. If they're not teaching it, then we have to have a question. Are they teaching it, but they're teaching the substandard because the educators that they have are now well versed? Then we got to see, how do we put money into teacher training? Do we have good teachers but just bad administrators? Or do we have good teachers, good administrators, but bad proprietorship and funding? Right? So you start to look at those stress tests, and then we go to our students. I say, okay, if everything here is working, what is going on? Is it the environment? Is it the community our students come from? Do we have students that are coming to school hungry? Do we have students that are homeless? Do we have students that have to leave school and go to sell all day and don't have the time to study? Then you start to look at those things and you try to put things in place to mitigate those things. That is why it should be a stress test and not a test to be used to shame people and say, oh, you fail, why so you don't. No, it doesn't necessarily mean that.
Okay, yeah, Henry, I'm not sure, but I don't know what I say. I think he wants to call, but we are kind of like, yeah. But let me see. So I don't understand. I don't understand. Mallay, I don't get it. All right, so say, let me just see. The link is there. If you want, I can send it. You see, your stuff then where you have.
I mean, don't stop laughing for the major on the show for the mercantile.
I mean, yeah. I told him not to talk to the liberal. Once you talk to the liberal always can contaminate people stuff. So when you talk to that liberal, forget it. Let leave go. Hold on, Mallay. I'm trying to see, but I send that to you. All you need to do, I think probably your system is having problem. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, I just want to have the conversation still going. I'm sending the link again, but I don't think that's the link. The link should be, because since it came on.
No, I actually came on the back. I came on the back side.
Oh, okay, but I even showing that. So that's another way he should do, because he's also have access. All you need to do is just go to the system itself. Mallay, just go to the system itself. I think we walk you through that before, and just bring it pass it back.
And you know, while we're on that topic, you know, one of the things that really got me animated when I came to this country and started thinking about our educational system back home. When I came to the U.S., I went to Texas. I was required to take U.S. history and Texas history. I took U.S. government and Texas government. Those are required. It doesn't matter what you're majoring. I was majoring engineering. I had to take U.S. history, Texas history, U.S. government, Texas government, because what the states have understood is that, yeah, when I take U.S. history, it's going to talk holistically about things that happen in the U.S., those key important things. They're not going to drive down to the minutia of what's happening in the individual states or what happened there. And so you get to learn those individual states' history. And so for the likes of, say, for example, if I'm in Lofa County and I take Liberian history, I should also be required to take, even if it's one semester, of Lofa history, where you talk about the war in Yela, for example, that has been there for hundreds of years, that our people built to fortify the border, to stop the French encroachment on Liberian territory, right? And you can talk about the likes of the late Chief Tambatila and his impact on Lofa County. If you are in Bon County, you should be required to take Liberian history and Bon County history, where you talk about all of the great things that happen in Bon County. You learn about Patawi Waterfall, and you learn about the late Chief Swakoko, and you learn about all of those people, the Bangbais, and all those people who brought Bon County to where Bon County came. And if I'm going to school in Grand Gila County, I should learn Liberian history and learn about the Konobo, the Chien, all the different. Like, I did not even know there were different kinds of crime until I came to America, Mr. So.
That is now you come and start trouble now, but you knew the different type of the Lofa ethnic group, right?
No, but here's the thing. No, yes, because I grew up in Lofa, right? And that's the point. But I went to school in Monrovia. Nobody ever taught me that. They only taught me the 16 tribes. Nobody taught me the derivatives, that there were other delineation. Even the Loma. We got different kinds of Loma. The Loma that's spoken in Vanjama is not the same Loma that's spoken in Zozo. It's different. Right? But if I told you I'm Loma, you just assume there's one. No, there are derivatives. And we don't even teach those. You know what I'm saying? Even the Pele, there are derivatives of the Pele. The one that is spoken in Zota, in Pantapa, or in Lofa Kante is quite different. The Sanoye Pele is different. They will tell you that. You know, so for me, it is about us grounding ourselves in our history and recognizing what we have and the importance of what we have. Because every time we keep talking about people not patriotic in this country, you know, where they start to breed kids into their patriotism favor, it's in civics, it's in history. When they lionize people that did things in history, Americans, and they say, Abraham Lincoln, for example, freed the slaves, right? Tore Abe, and the Republican Party would say, oh, the party of Lincoln. Or you talk about George Washington and say he never told a lie, right? He crossed the Delaware River. People create these folklores as a way to gin up nationalism and patriotism. Who are our national patriots that we can look at and talk about? Right? Who?
So this seems to be, is it part of what is responsible for what is going on today, Sizi, you think? Because people are not informed or they have not been told what is happening. We don't know our own region. We profess to know, but we don't, as a matter of fact. Is that part of the problem we are having today?
Well, that is it. And you have people like my brother right now saying my history teacher was limited. I don't know what did I say that got him to get to that point to say that I didn't know there was variations of crime. I don't know which school you went to in Monrovia. I ever taught you those variations. But again, you know, we all come here, we try to pretend like things are not happening in Liberia. The problem here is that if you take away civics, I remember before the war when I was in school, we were learning civics. You learn civics to tell you the duties and responsibilities of citizenship, the duties and responsibilities of the government. And so if you know that the mayor of a city has certain responsibilities, and somebody running to be a mayor comes and tells and promises you something that you know is not within their purview, you know how to check them, right? It is the same thing with these senatorial candidates and these representative candidates when they go around telling people, promising people the whole world. And these people buy to them because we have not emphasized that in school. That's the point I'm making.
Mon frère, America, he start war already in the room. So let me just go ahead. I wish you guys the best, good conversations, and hopefully we'll be monitoring. Let me just bring in your guest here today. He's also an analyst here. A strong guy who believes in good and quality education. Jones Octavio Mallay. Hopefully the radical aspect doesn't take place here today, and I wish you the best. Let me bring in Mallay Jones, and you guys can have it yourself.
My brother Mallay Senior, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful.
My man, let me put down a mere copper here. I was not a cause. Whatever happened, I apologize. I know you tried to come on earlier. It's Mr. So did that intentionally to get you agitated to come on the show. But
yeah, it seems to be he's been setting a lot of trap around here because even the link he sent me, that's an old link. I can get on. Anyway, I forgave him.
Welcome to the show, my brother. I was the family. I was your neck of the wood.
Well, neck of the wood, not too bad. I didn't go to church today. I just decided to relax. It's like I try to get one or two things in play, and sometimes when they don't work in my direction, it's like I affect some other things.
I think we both are on the same. We're on the same trajectory today. I got up this morning. I told my wife, "No, I'm doing TV church today." So I watched televangelist. I lay in my bed today and watched preachers on TV today. It was their church. Nobody told me it wasn't church. I watched them.
Oh, so, of course. But how about the COVID? When the COVID came, it was the online church that was taking over, and I showed Jesus said, "Well, pleased about that."
I'm going that far, yeah. But on a serious note, the issue of WIAC, you brought it up the other day. We've been kind of like talking about it in pieces on the show over the last several months. We will, throw stuff in for like a minute and two, and I felt like this is a very important thing. Looking at the educational structure in Liberia is a very important thing, because we keep arguing. When I say we, those of us who find ourselves in the diaspora and some people in Liberia keep arguing that our voters are not educated and our education system is in shambles and people are not learning what they're supposed to learn. But the things that we're supposed to use to stress test our educational system themselves are not being checked. Those tools that we're supposed to use for quality improvement themselves need to be reviewed if they're in fact the proper tools for quality review. And so it is an honor to have you on this show today. Simply put, let's just put it down to the brand about WIAC. First thing first, what is your experience, your personal experience with WIAC, your educational experience?
Well, my educational experience with WIAC is that I took WIAC in those dark days in the 80s. But it's like they keep saying that education is a weapon, it's a tool, that can sharpen your understanding about other things as you move along or as you climb the educational ladder. And it is more important when you get yourself interwoven with other people from diverse view on your journey, And so from what I have come and from what I have seen in the past, I think there's a need for us to review WIAC now. I think WIAC have got, first of all, I want to thank the architect of WIAC. I want to thank them first. In leadership, no matter what, you may be angry, but, give someone their flower. The philosophy upon which it was built, I may not like it. The foundation, I may not like it. The origin, I may not like it. But that little effort they took at that particular time by those particular leaders at that particular era, I want to take my hat off to them and thank them for that initiative. But on the general note, I mean, why we're not meant for Liberia? And we will go into the details on why we think that is the problem. Yeah.
So before we get into the opportunities for growth or the problems, what, if any, you think are some positives of having a regional exam?
Well, we can't talk about that now until we look at the historical perspective of WIAC.
Okay.
Probably
go ahead and lay that down for us.
Yes. According to my research, and we'll be providing you some references as we go along, this interactive discussion is in 6 segments, if time permits. The first segment is we are going to look at the historical perspective of WIAC, where it came from, how it started, and how it jumped into the Liberian dining room table. That's going to be the phase 2. And the phase 3 is the start of education in the late 50s. What was education led in the late 50s? Yes. And secondly, WIAC, then we'll move down to the ramifications, the dynamics, and the negative feedback that I know about from Liberia. Then lastly, we'll look at WIAC, what has been WIAC plan after a 16-year war. We have just returned. WIAC had any innovation? WIAC had any plan for the multitude of young people that just returned? that segment is quite pathetic. We're going to reach there. Then from there, I may be sharing with you some of my own suggestions and recommendations.
So let's do this. So looking at the history of WIAC,
yeah,
I want to tie this, right, because WIAC 1952 or thereabout, but we had an educational system in Liberia, true to your word, before we had the regional testing, the West African Examination Council.
Yeah.
So if you could just tie for us, Mr. Mallay, based on your research, what was the educational system like pre-WIAC, and what do you think was the reason for starting the West African Examination Council and setting up a regional body for testing?
Well, firstly, WIAC was a concept in 1949. Yes, it started as a concept. And the concept came from the British Secretary of State of the colonies. And when we talk about the colonies here, we are talking about the Anglophone English-speaking countries. That is Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, and the Gambia. Mind you, Liberia is one of the Anglophone countries, but Liberia was not under this colonial domination by the British Empire. So, it began with the British Secretary of State of the colony that was then called the West African country of the Gold Coast. When the Secretary of Colony called them and suggested that there's a need for us to set a standard, this is where Dr. and Professor George, the late Dr. Professor George Baker Jeffrey came into the picture. Jeffrey came into the picture, and they sent him as an envoy to these colonies to explain about the WIAC thing, the concept, whether it would be good for a standard educational system. And so he went to the various countries, the 4 countries, and they bought the idea, and soon they had ordinances, and soon it was passed into law, and soon it was supported. Liberia was nowhere in this picture at this particular time between 1949 and 1950. Liberia was nowhere in this picture. The structure was set up, the philosophy was sold, the groundwork was done 5 years after.
You said the driver was done. So go ahead.
Yes. 5 years after, in 1957, Dr. Jeffrey died. But Dr. Jeffrey never had the opportunity to contact Liberia. And to go straight to your question, this was the issue. The British Empire and their envoy were finding it difficult to approach Liberia as far back as the 50s because, one, they saw Liberia affiliation with the United States. 2, they realized that Liberia was using the American educational system, the 6334 system. So they decided to take the back seat and re-strategize how they can approach Liberia, because Liberia satisfied one of their conditions. Liberia is an English-speaking country. Yes. So how do we get Liberia involved? So when the guy died in 1957, they decided to approach Liberia. This was under the era of the late William R. Tauber. Yes. Tauber was in the chair by that time. When this whole concept started, they started sending it to Liberia. So at the end of the day, they managed to convince Liberia. 1974, Liberia came on board. And Liberia attended a conference in Ghana where she was able to sign her ordinance and brought it back, and Tauber embraced it. But there's a conflict in between there. The British Empire, this is their child, and they were sending their child to other people. But Liberia also had a child, and this child was the 6331 system. So the question now is, did Liberia approach America? So what is your own standard education system for examining your student? That is the question.
So my brother Mali, because this is simply put, let's put things simply here. What is the 6331 system for our people who might not be too deep into educational philosophy?
Okay, that's a good question. Just 1 minute.
And while you're doing that to our viewers, I see my brother Prince Dan Senior is asking how you can participate. For now, your tweets, your text will be appreciated, but we're going to post the number later on for you to call and participate. Okay, so please bear with us. The numbers will be posted soon, and then you can call, and we'd love to hear what you have to say, especially if you live in Liberia.
Okay, here is the 633 system. The 633 system is 6-year elementary. Our kids stay 6 years in elementary school from age 1 to 6. So that 1 to 6 equation, I don't even think a working time like this, because you get a lot of gray hair grandfather then sitting in 6th grade. But anyway, okay, let's move on. Then for junior high, they spend 3 years. Okay,
7, 8, and 9.
Junior high, 3 years. Tertiary institution and university, 4 years.
Okay.
So this is the origin of the 633.
Thank you. I just wanted that because I know we have a lot of people that are watching us that might not necessarily know what you're talking about. And this is simply put. We want to put it down simply for our people to understand. Now, Mr. Mali, so let me keep tying things together because I know we want our audience to come in, but we want to lay a groundwork, a foundational understanding so that when they come in, we can build on that. So you talk about feedback and you talk about current realities and all of those pieces. So let me ask you a question. What are the potential benefits and drawbacks? So these are your feedbacks now of continuing to use WIAC exam in Liberia educational system. Are there benefits and are there drawbacks to continuing WIAC in this current form?
Well, in this current form, there are a lot of negative feedback in this current form, because if you look at the origin of WIAC, in fact, the British educational system is rigorous, but the American educational system is too much reading, assignment, a whole lot of stuff. Okay, but that is not the point. The point here is that you are introducing a new philosophy, a new educational concept to a country that has one university in 1863 by a slave whose career were farm workers on slave plantation. Okay, we want to thank them. They came at least with all their downside. They had a concept of establishing the College of Education in Liberia, right? And about the same time, the same 1950, Nigeria had 6 universities about the same 1950. About the same 1950, Ghana had 3 universities. So the argument I'm making here is that the colonies were already grounded. The empire, the British Empire created an enabling educational condition for them. And so WIAC became like a flying bird for them. So WIAC was more comfortable for them. But coming to Liberia in 1974, all right, I don't think we had those structures. First of all, library, the enabling educational atmosphere to have library, to have modern books, to study, to have qualified teachers, to lead you through the WIAC curriculum, to be up to speed. Because the conversation now is from 1980 up to now. But before 1980, it's a different discussion. So I see a lot of demerit at this particular time than merit. Because when our youth, or when we all returned after the Civil War, things were broken. So I expected WIAC to come in to structure a few things. First of all, propose the creation of a library for people to study because WIA is coming. 2, try to help with the training of some of our teachers because I hear WIA is coming. All right? Try to create an enabling condition for a good teaching atmosphere in Liberia that will be in line or resonate with WIA. But this did not happen. Right after the war, when Helen took over, I had jump up. They don't even know the situation that happened to some of the psychological problem that happened to most of the youth. They didn't even know. They don't even care. All right? If I may say so. And at the end of the day, WIA keep coming. And some of the negative feedback because why failure to look into some of those problems led to the massive failure and many more other problems.
So let me interject a question there for you. I'm trying to understand. Are you placing the blame of the massive failures of students and the lack of adequate educational resources at the feet of a testing agency, because WIAC is just a testing agency, versus the political system, when I say political system, I mean the system created by our constitution, vis-a-vis our education ministry and people in charge of education. At whose feet should the blame of a massive failure of WIAC and the lack of institutional services be placed? Or is this supposed to be shared?
It's supposed to be shared. Objectively, it's supposed to be shared. But I expected WIAC to have its fingerprints in some of those things, and we will come halfway to meet them. Then if they're massive failure, we'll all share the blame. But in the first place, I'm not even in the business of supporting WIAC in Liberia. Yes, we will come to that later on. Because WIAC, I see it as a strange educational killer system. And doing my research, I try to see the benefit of WIAC. I'd rather try to see what is the benefit. I don't see it. I rather don't see it.
So in this country, Mr. Mallay,
yeah.
In the US, we have the ACT, the SAT, and in my own state, we have the Minnesota Comprehensive Exam. These are all high-stake tests that gets given to high school students, and some of them are used for as requirement for graduation, and some of them are used as requirement to enter universities.
Yes.
The idea behind these high-stake tests is that we have to be able to measure what a student knows. And the way to do that is through testing. And that's the reason even you get your kindergarten does to go through kindergarten readiness testing. I just started reading on there for my own 2-year-old already, again. So I told her to start learning calculus before she go take the readiness testing. But back to this. We have to be able, as an educational system, educators, we're always about being able to measure stuff, right? Test, measure. Yeah. Having said that, are you for a test in Liberia, but not just what WIAC offers, or are you propagating that we don't even have a test to show high school or college career readiness?
Yes, I'm all for a test. You see what you get me? The SAT and all other stuff. The last one that probably you didn't add there was when you come in this country with your degree, they get another agency sitting down somewhere that got to evaluate it before you even do your master in this country. And I went through all those things. So that's another aspect. But back to your question, Mr. Sizi, that's a very good question. You see, we have gone far off now. Yes. So the concept of testing the ability of our student, I'm staying for it. But this time around, there are two things at stake. Can we approach the American educational system, say we are following the 633 system and incorporate it into their standard examination system so that they can send a test to Liberia, will go through it, then there's British-oriented philosophy that passed down by the British to the colonial Anglophone country, I would want for us to do that. Since the government did not find out, we just went and grabbed the 6344 system, the 6334 system, and forgot about that part. So it's not late yet. Or part B, can we set up our own standardized examination system? The question is no. No, because the system is morally corrupt. Will America even accept it? That's going to be a big problem. And secondly, pulling away from WAEC, I don't know what's going to be the penalty on the government, because WAEC has become a real cash cow operation right now. They make a lot of money. We'll get to that later on. But if we approach the educational sector department in America and make this request that we want to transition, we are not just damaging the marriage. We are transitioning gradually so that we meet up to the expectation of our forefather educational system. That would be my direction, because why are not doing all no good?
Let me play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
So I'm a classroom teacher, and this is a politics in America, in American classrooms.
Yeah.
It was a movement that got started, but it actually took speed, like earth-shattering speed during COVID. Yeah. So the SAT you're asking for and the ACT you are asking for, they have a lot of universities, prestigious universities, including Howard and Harvard and Yale and everybody, have moved away from requiring ACT or SAT. As a matter of fact, in some states like mine, the Minnesota Comprehensive Exams, the MCA, that was at one point in time a graduation requirement, is no longer a graduation requirement. A kid can fill it and they still graduate. Okay. Now, all that is set in place for a kid to graduate is you have to have a certain amount of credits in high school and a GPA. So you're passing, pretty much we say you got to take 3 math classes in high school, 4 social studies, and all the other pieces. So we're no longer looking at, and a lot of universities are no longer looking at SAT because they think high-stake tests like the SAT and the ACT do not measure a student's ability, either what they have learned or what they will do in the future. So, but you are asking for this. Do you see this as a good thing that when in fact the nation that gave us the SAT and the ACT are running away from it and say we no longer want it, and we are asking for that?
Okay, that's good. Your devil advocate is 100% in place. But then if that would be the case, if your argument is acceptable from your own analysis and your research, which of course I believe and trust, then this will be my plan B. We come up, the plan B that I went away from, then I will have to go and bring it back.
You're going to take it back from the trash can?
Yes.
What was the plan B?
But before I come in with the plan B, the question now is, are we in wire because it has the West African umbrella on top of it, and we want to also be part of that big umbrella as a regional power? Or so we also need to answer that question. 2, we could come up with our own standardized system of examining our kids and try to find a way where America can approve it or can honor it, because America don't honor it. America will easily say, well, we're still looking up to WAEC. They don't know WAEC history. We know it, or probably they may know it. So, in other words, your question has also broadened my horizon to other era. Yes. And the other era that it has taken me to now is why. Let me also play the devil advocate in my own presentation. Why we have got qualified teachers, why we have got libraries, electricity, modern books, qualified teacher teaching our children, why are releasing these curriculum to making sure our students are at that standard, to making sure they go to other African countries and mingle with other students and see how they study. They exchange visitation with Sierra Leone and Nigeria and Ghana and go see their facility, what are those conditions? It will put all those things in place. Instead, the student failing, then making a case for us to withdraw from from WAEC, will be challenged by so many school of thoughts, including myself. I will challenge my own thoughts. But in the absence of those things, I believe strongly that's supposed to make the educational condition okay. You just brought another scenario. They share responsibility. AHEC could also make a case. WAEC could also make a case. I'm just a testing institution. You need to put your tools and other things in place, and I bring my tests. All right? I say, okay, we are paying for an educational service too. We pay so much. And according to the 2023 student that said this thing, over 1 million of them. That's plenty of money I had just making in our place there. All right? Why just making in our place there? But anyway, let's not go into that era. So the issue now is when the student continue to fail in WAEC, I don't know how you see it, but it have another effect on the whole WAEC establishment too. What are they doing? In fact, my research tells me in the 70s, there were so many leakages of the WAEC exam all over the place. So the issue of credibility, you see, the issue of credibility become another problem. So let me stop there.
So then talking about that now, if we're looking at that, because I like how, you know, this question took you into places that I actually was thinking about talking about. But let's stop on that last sentence, and let me try to build a question of that last sentence.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the issue of credibility and people feeling everything, then in what ways does WAEC exam impact the overall quality of education in Liberia, or does it even affect the overall quality of education in Liberia, and should it?
Okay, then I'll take you back to the former colonies. I'll take you back there. In the late 50s, people have a real education. In fact, Nigeria had about 9 educational reform systems before they even got to where they are today. Nigeria has got 170 universities. I'm not talking about tertiary institutions and colleges. All right? Ghana have got about 20 right now. So what I'm driving at here is that these people have been able to put the tools in place. But as you rightly said, the blame will still come down on our government. What is our government doing? But the question of the quality education, I don't think WAEC authority is concerned about quality education. I think their objective here is to bring their tests. I think this is what I see. And I agree with them, is to bring their tests, and it is you and myself responsibility to improve on the so-called quality education that should be provided by our higher education system at the Ministry of Education, because the quality aspect of our education is tied into the higher education in the Ministry of Education in Liberia. What are they doing about it? It's a different ball game that will be discussed at another day.
So,
all right.
So you keep postponing all the things there, but we'll talk about some of them here today. so talking about WAEC as a testing institution, and they just bring in their test. Might we somehow be misusing and misunderstanding the test results? Because if WAEC is just a testing institution and the results our students are showing show that they are now ready for WAEC, should we at the Ministry of Education and should we at the capital be looking at these results as a call to action for our educational system? Like you just went to the doctor and they did your lab and your lab results came back. That's what a WAEC is to me. And now you have the lab results. What are you going to do about it? Do you shame the patient and say, shame on you, you're sick? Or do you provide prescriptions to deal with the ailment? So my question is, are we maybe misusing the result of WIAC instead of taking the results of WIAC as a test on the quality or the implementation or the efficacy of educational pedagogy in Liberia, and how can we improve that versus using that as a gatekeeper. Because if you fail WIAC in Liberia, there are not many things you can do, right? So it's a gatekeeper to your upward mobility in society. Are we maybe using it wrong? Should we be taking WIAC to say, okay, 20% of our students fail? What is the issue? What is the problem? Look inward and see how we can provide resources, how the budget can have resources to make sure that we reduce the amount of students that are failing, find the reason they're failing, and mitigate them. Or should we continue to just say, yeah, 20% of people fail tests, they're trying to get into door in Liberia, and just put the blame on the students instead?
Well, I think that's a valid point. But the question now is, are we surmising that the students just want to fail because they want to fail? Or these students, since they came from the war, they get a lot of mud in their heads? Or are we saying that this is a societal failure, institutional failure from the end of parliament to executive mansion and whatsoever it is? And the higher education institution that's supposed to be the supreme agent for this whole thing? But here is my take to your question. I think we have got good students in Liberia. Yes. But we have got bad government employees who don't see fit in our educational system. So instead, they blame out. Like my daughter was even taking wire last year. She had to do all her Google on phone. Even the pamphlet, people started making money out of this thing. But just what you said, how many lawmakers are prepared to see their shadow, okay, in the mass failure of students? They say, oh, can we just check this thing here? What's going on? But to be frank with you, why is an foreign stuff? So they really don't care. They are like investors. They come and get you the loyalty. You face a role. Okay, you don't face it, that's your business. I think this is where it's coming from, right? So the question now is, I strongly want to have faith in our students in Liberia, to be very frank with you. They are capable, they can do it. But I think that enabling educational condition, I think it's not put in place yet. And this is where I think one of the problems is coming from. Yes. But
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
But if we can put this thing in place and come up with our own stand-up, because the problem now is I've been looking at the merit and the demerit of WIAC. All right. I don't see the merit at all. Probably my glasses now allow me to see it. Maybe you can educate me about that, Mr. Sizi. But here it said, WIAC is not taking a strange, a political trend. WIAC is not being sent places to block our young people. If you don't pass it, you go to the embassy, you win lotto, you can't go. That's political motivation education. We can't do that. It was not part of the Aya philosophy in the past. Why now? Now, very soon you go for employment, you will have to show WIAC. That's not right. Now, WIAC is even now multiplying its intake, multiplying its financial strain now. They have included the 9th grader. Why bring in 9th grader for what? Where are they going? These are kids. Well, now we just limit it to 12th grade. Now the 9th grader now, their parents have to struggle all over to look for money for WIAC. Then when you go to 12th grade again, you have to do it. Those are all business money-making concepts.
And that is for me. I think that is a key chord you struck, and that I agree with. That WIAC is a business endeavor, but I think Liberia's involvement in WIAC I think we got sold a bill of goods and we have not checked. Because again, remember, it is the West African Examination Council, but not all West African states participate in it.
No, just 5.
And right. And so students, citizens from the other countries that don't participate in WIAC, still come to the United States. They don't have to show WIAC certificates.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we have is that we were overzealous. It's like, you know, what people have there with AP. I got my own little problem, and full disclosure, I contracted with College Board. I was not happy when they stopped accepting AP, well, not AP, but SAT scores, because I had a contract. We rewrote a new SAT math, and then people said they're not considering SAT no more. I'm like, oh crap. But having said that, I would tell you as a teacher and as an insider that all of these things were AP and international baccalaureate IB, or you're looking at all of these names that we take and attach. They are just name brand. Like somebody goes and spend the entire paycheck and get one Gucci jacket, right? Just name brand. It's the same thing with WIAC. WIAC is just a name brand because, again, not all of the countries in West Africa participate in WIAC, yet their students leave those countries and come to the US and get accepted. What happened is that we got sold on that. And the reason countries ask you, especially the US, when you say you come from Liberia, they ask you for your WIAC certificate, is because by law, by our own law, a measure of your high school graduate, the measure to tell us that you've met, you are certified, all of the requirements to be called a high school graduate in Liberia, the tippy top is passing WIAC. That is the reason people keep asking for that, right? Which in my mind is wrong. And you brought up a point that I want to tell you how we borrow things all around the places that we don't fix them. We just take it and shove them in Liberia. So testing kids in 9th grade. In fact, at some point in time, they used to test WIAC students in 6th grade. So you got 6th grade, you got 9th grade, you got 12th grade. It is a hodgepodge of what people do in America. In Minnesota, we test our students in 6th grade for the Minnesota Comprehensive Exam to understand their readiness and the school's readiness. And if these kids are behind, where are they behind, and what resources do we need to put in 7th grade to mitigate that? And then we put them through the system. They keep going in to get to 9th grade. If right here in Minnesota, now you do it 8th grade and 9th grade, you take different subjects in 8th grade, different subjects in 9th grade. But for the sake of argument, you get to 9th grade, you take the Minnesota Comprehensive Exam, the MCA again. That result comes back. The result is not 100% reflection on the student. It is majority reflection on the school. If a lot of your students fail, we look at the data and see where our students are struggling, what concept did they struggle on, what money in the budget, where we're going to find budget, money in our budget as a school to put resources for these students. And then you get to the 11th grade, you take your last Minnesota State exam. The idea is when you're in 12th grade, we're not bothering you with exam no more. You're trying to graduate. You're looking at taking college credit, college level courses, and all the other pieces. But we took that and carried it to Liberia. And if you take a 9th grade WIAC and fail it, are there resources in our budget, in our national budget, to find out what happened? What did you fail? And how do we provide resources to make sure that by the time you get to the 12th grade WIAC, that whatever gaps you had in your education has been bridged? We don't have that. We keep borrowing things from across the world and not looking at how to fix them, and we just drop them in Liberia. And I think for me, that is a bigger problem. And I've been one of the advocates that said that if we're going to continue testing students in Liberia, which we should not be giving WIAC in 12th grade. You get WIAC in 11th grade. So that if people fail WIAC in 11th grade, they still have to go to school 12th grade, right? That 12th grade year, you're using it to try to bridge the gap in their education, in their understanding, what led to them failing. You provide resources while they stay in school. And those students who passed it start to take university classes while they're in 11th, 12th grade, thinking about what their career paths are going to be. But and if you do that, you level the playing field. But look at what happens now. If you take WIAC and you fail WIAC, and you have to go for a resetter, Mr. MALLAY.
Yeah.
The resetter, you don't go back to school. You're supposed to be passing around selling planting chips and other thing there, and there are no services or resources put into budget by our national legislature to say we are providing tutorial services free of charge to you that fail WAEC. Go there and get your help before you. No, we let you do all your things throughout the year, and then we say, oh, next week that resetter. And there are massive failure in the resetter, and nobody ever sat down to think about that. So you got a point. Why are we testing in 6th grade? Why are we testing in 9th grade if we're not using those information from those tests to help us, help our students so that they don't get to 12th grade and fail WAEC?
Yeah, but here is my next question. The concept of testing people, I mean, that general philosophy, is it really necessary?
You're asking a teacher?
Okay, to be frank with you, to be very frank with you, because I've really been trying to see the merit system in this testing thing. You've gone through your 6334 thing, all right? So what the testing is about, because the problem now is I don't even see the relationship between WAEC and someone winning lotto and using WAEC to start them. That politics right in between there. It's not academic. I don't see academic in there at all. If they say, oh, you have to bring WAEC, there's another test that you're supposed to say, now I tend to see the little relationship. But I don't see it at all.
The problem,
all right? So who is introducing this thing?
The problem, Mr. MALLAY,
yeah,
is us, our Liberian system. The diversity lottery is meant to bring people to add up to the labor force in America. And American laws want those people to be at minimum high school graduate. So people play the lottery in many parts of the world. They don't go show WAEC certificate because their individual countries have set the standard for what it means to be a high school graduate. And so they provide those documentations. It is our country that said that if you're a high school graduate, you must have a WAEC certificate. And so the people now say, okay, then prove it to other high school graduate, show us a WAEC certificate. But look, as a teacher, I will tell you, I was one of those advocates that pushed for us moving away from the SAT and the ACT and the MCA being used to measure whether you graduate high school. No. If you are in my class, in fact, the first thing the state legislature say, you must take 3 math classes in high school. So you take Algebra 1 in 9th grade, Geometry in 10th grade, Algebra 2 in 11th grade. If you are taking my Algebra 2 class and you pass all of my formatives, so my quizzes and tests, and I say, yes, MALLAY has an A in Algebra 2, by state standard, you made that requirement. Nobody can ask you, say, MALLAY, let me see your test paper. Let me see what kind of quiz Mr. Goyah is giving you. Absolutely not. You've met the requirement. Now, however, if MALLAY goes and take the Minnesota Comprehensive Exam, and I say MALLAY is an A student in Algebra 2, and they make him do 9th grade math, and the result come back and say, oh, our student didn't fail, they're not going to come back and say, MALLAY, we're taking your certificate. No, they come back to me, Mr. Goyah, and to my school and say, yo, man, what are you guys doing here? What is your process here? They start to audit our process and see if we are following the state standards and all the other pieces, right? That is a stress test of our system. So I'm with you. I really don't think people should be giving standardized tests because at the end of the day, I know very smart people that fail WAEC, that were in classes with me in Liberia when I graduated, and I know some people who were less than that much involved in their studies that passed WAEC. And so for me, I think we have to stay measured. There has to be a tool to measure. Maybe the government can say you take these classes and you take these classes, and to the extent that people continue to see that there are lapses in our educational system when it comes to morality, then yes, maybe we still have a test. Maybe we still have a test, but maybe that test, instead of it being regional, it's just national. Why are we graduating students that don't know civics? Because WAEC does not require it. Does that work for us in Liberia? Absolutely not. It doesn't work for us. So I'm with you. I think it is time we move away from these regional testing that don't help us with anything. They give us a score and we don't know how to use it. But again, Mr. Mallay, in the Ministry of Education, we have an assistant minister. We've always had an assistant minister and several deputies that are responsible for testing and evaluation. So what are they testing? What are they evaluating if why are just doing the testing?
That's a very good question. This is what I said. Maybe the phase 2 of our dialogue right now is going to be the Ministry of Education is being politicized. And my definition for the politicization for the Ministry of Education is that the wrong people are placed in the wrong places. Like for instance, the Commission for Higher Education, that guy's supposed to get his credential in education. But you can see someone coming their credential in engineering, agriculture, philosophy, English, teachers college. Then you go put them to be commissioner for higher education. All right? That's just a takeaway. That man don't know what to do down there. As you always said, there are good things written down there. Like for instance, according to my research, I saw the deputy minister, I think for technical services or something. He's responsible for research. He's responsible for strategy. He's responsible for planning. That guy is overwhelmed. All right? What that guy is going to do.
The man that he said he ought to do it, right?
Okay. So what I see here from time immemorial is not just in the Georgia government.
No,
but I noticed people try to create space to accommodate other partisans who have been shouting the loudest song, the loyalty. You know, there are too many things in employment. But equally so, Mr. Goyah, there are some sensitive areas. I went to school in Ghana. I spent 5 years at the University of Lagos, right? There is no compromise there. The Ghana man will tell you, we give you first warning for the paper you fail. The second warning, will show you the door. You don't hear no kind of languages in Liberia. I don't even know at what point people ever fail at the University of Liberia. I can't even, maybe I can be, let someone educate me that, 100 people graduated this year, but on the 5 fail, and I've heard that English before. I said to be educated by any color or anybody. To see it, even in our graduation booklet, I have not seen it. 100% graduation. It's always 100% graduation. Nobody fail at the University of Liberia. It's always 100%. All right? So what we see here is that, yes, Wire is playing some role, but here is my mixed feeling again. I notice our students are prepared to even compete with other students in the other Wire country, like Nigeria, Ghana, like Sierra Leone. We're just going to be a laughing stock in our place. All right? So the question now is, this thing have got an adverse effect on us as a society and our leadership, and an adverse effect even on the Wire authority. The question you just brought, why? The authority there, they ask themselves, but why Liberia? People can fail Wire, but why the massive thing like that? Almost at one point, almost everybody fail in this thing. Why? Have they come on fight funding? Even though it's not their responsibility, but as a leadership, gentlemen, Mr. President, we have come on a fight funding. We want to know why half of our students just fail, and whenever there's a mass failure, it's at the advantage of why.
What's the point of trying
they're going to set it up again for another new payment.
Well, let me tell you right now, it is the business model. Why would I want to come take money from my bottom line? If you fail, you got to pay again to take it again. So why am I wasting my time?
And as long as you fail, you will continue to pay.
You're going to pay. So,
I mean, why dining room table going to be shaking up all the time?
So as a business model, if you're the CEO of that company, why would you want to limit the earnings, potential earnings, and your shareholders?
Even bother myself. In fact, I would pray for more failure.
Okay, so Mr. Producer,
Mr. Goyah, you just brought in the Ministry of Education. Maybe
once again, I'll let you finish that. Mr. Producer, if you can put my phone number up, please, so that our callers can start calling, so they can participate if they so wish. Yeah, go ahead. You were talking about Ministry of Education, Mr. Mallay.
Yes. I think the Ministry of Education is a dismal failure. Yes. And it need, I'm sorry to say, I have to use this word on this phone again. It need this democratic radical reform educational system.
I will hope you're not going to say that phrase until we leave today.
like for example, the minister proper, the Honorable Ansu, who had just been conferred a doctorate degree on him. Now he's called Dr. Ansu. Okay. But yeah, it's why are you laughing, Sizi?
Don't start trouble on my show, I'm begging you.
Okay. All right. But you see, Ansu cannot take the blame right now. I learned, according to unconfirmed sources, that Ansu had even opened his own university. He have got accreditation for the Commission on Higher Education, who's supposed to report to him. So it's a matter of just taking the phone, I want that certificate. So the Commission on Higher Education is causing a lot of problems with our educational system. If you go and read their policy, you will wonder. They are the heart of the Ministry of Education in Liberia. I'm telling you, I was surprised. There are a whole lot of good things, though, God, in that their policy. Even the issue of quality education is spelled out down there. So the question now is, where is the impediment?
Hey, hello, Mr. Sizi Goyah.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I am well, Mr. Mallay. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, my brother. Hello, how you doing? What's your name and what's your input?
This is Nankemo. I stopped following the show on Facebook, but I followed it on YouTube. And let me just say, we that follow the show on YouTube, you gotta listen to our comment, to your monitor our comment.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes they can forget about us.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for the show. This is one of the funniest shows ever on this platform. Before I go further, let me just say, Mr. Mallay, we should stop finding excuses for our leaders who are placing authority to make changes in our society. The educational minister, all the fine things you're talking about here, these are things that should be on your mind. Are we on the right path educationally for our society? Are we just following other people only because we want to be behind them? These are thoughts that leaders should sit and think about. Let's find our way. Let's find who we are and educate our citizens. Why, from time immemorial, the people, how they call it, the British colonial people have done successfully, when it comes to passing, doing well in those areas, excluding Liberia. We continue to perform poorly because our educational foundation. So our leaders should sit down and think, are we following wire only because we want to be part of West Africa educational system, or the education that we provide for our children here, is it helping them that when they go out there, they should perform well? So we should sit and think about it. And I want Mr. Mallay to keep up this advocacy so that the people in the particular sector can think about it. Because I, for one, I would like to say that we should get rid of WIAC and focus on the system, on the American system, because that's the system we know about. And train our students to that. Before I drop the line, Mr. Sizi, let me just remind you on this. Can you imagine when our in high school were doing study on Ghana Empire, were reading more about Songhai Empire, were reading mostly about all the empire that we didn't know nothing about Swakoko. When you were talking about earlier on. Nothing about the people who were talking about, how they call it, Usman Danfolo, and the great
Master Kanka Musa.
Yeah, all the guys there. Can you imagine Master Kanga Musa carrying millions of gold to Saudi Arabia? Why Mali pour up to now? You know, it's not the kind of thing we'll be teaching like brown people. We're teaching our students about where when you go all the way to Gao, Egypt. They don't even know nothing about Lofa or Nima, nothing. Although, you know, Asian warrior that stood up against British people and stuff like that. We know nothing about that, but when it comes to West African history, when we're discussing how the other battle occurred, you know, between Sondiata Keita and his brother, all that one, it happened. So I think to conclude, I just want Mr. Mallay to keep up this advocacy. You keep it up. If they ask me one question today, we should get rid of why not benefiting, why making more money out of that brother any other country in West Africa.
All right. Thank you, my brother Kemo. And I hope you will go study about Madame Swakoko now beginning today.
I started reading about her when I had the university there. That was where I read it more.
I know I just give you a time about Ume. I like it. All right, Kemo. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Mallay, apparently you got a comrade in arm. You say you're more continue pushing to dismantle WIAC, but on a serious note, though, you keep, you know, a lot of the conversation you've been trying to draw that into college opportunities. So let me ask you a question. How, in your mind, does the WIAC exam influence college admissions and career opportunities for Liberian students? And keeping in mind that some people pass WIAC and still fail the UL entrance exam.
Yes, that's a good parallel. That's very true. And still fail the UL entrance exam. You see, what the caller just introduced is a very interesting thing. We're studying about people who don't have impact on our society, don't have impact in our future, don't have no impact on us at all, you see. So what I think here is, what I think we could do here is this. You see, the foundation of education, especially that elementary era, that 6 year, it is where the mind get molded very seriously. And when anything go wrong in that sector, it go wrong in the next 3 years, and the next 3 years, and the next 4 years. And to even add to what you just said, Mr. Goyah, some of our university students will graduate. They can't even compose a comprehensive letter. And the reason for that is that the foundation went wrong. Either they had a wrong teacher sitting there who not even supposed to be there telling the children all kind of garbage, or he just not qualified to lead them, or the students are just naturally dumbfounded. And even a student are naturally dumbfounded, it will be maybe 10 in 1,000. Our students are not stupid. Our students, they just need a little bit of push. All right. So there are possibilities. If the curriculum at the in fact, the entire University of Liberia curriculum need to be overhauled because it's not even doing any good. That's another topic.
That's a whole different topic for a different because I have then we gotta set up a whole different interview.
No, that's a whole different discussion for another day. Because the curriculum, I don't know whether it's harming us or it's helping us or it's helping our development. I don't know. The engineers from the engineering department, for years they're facing role, no new idea.
Man, let's talk about I don't want two people to come over here.
But let's get back. Not lead the University of Liberia because I know there'll be a lot of feedback coming. You see, so what we could do here is this. Are the people sharing curriculum? Because if you are in the elementary school, and you're in your 5th year, you should be getting some introductory courses moving into your 7th grade. I think that's something new we need to introduce. It doesn't happen. The people will wait when the child gets 6th grade, when he leaves, go home, He's occupied with selling. Everything he learned, it says here, is gone away. So by the time he got to the 7th grade, he don't even know where to start from. You see? So the issue of even getting the family involved is something that we need to also pay attention to.
Hello, caller. How are you? This is Sizi Goyah.
Sizi Goyah, thank you. This is Steady Tail Lion Yakon, calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
Hey, North Dakota, man. What's up, Chief? How you end of the world today?
Oh, I'm good. Everything's fine. I always like your way of teaching. You're one of the very good, Liberian, professor in the diaspora. And the topic today, and the great analyst in the studio, Mr. Mallay.
Just hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Thank you, sir.
Doris, please hold on 1 second. Yeah, go ahead, my brother. Sorry. I think I created a problem. Just hold on. I think I put somebody on hold mistakenly. Hello? All right. Doris, you there?
Look at you caught our man Argo.
Well, I'll bring him. I'm trying to connect. And it says merging, but it says he's on hold. So unable to make conference call. All right, that's my fault. Sorry about that. To the 2 callers, my brother from North Dakota, please call back. I apologize. And our sister, somebody was calling him Doris, please call back too. My apologies. Network gave me a problem. But yeah, Mr. Mallay, you were saying.
Yes. So as I was saying, our approach to our education system now has to change. But what I noticed now is that every time there's an exchange of politics in Liberia, a new group coming in.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to call him back. So
okay. It seems to be business as usual.
Okay. Yep, you're back on. Sorry about that, my brother. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yes. Anyway, yeah. Well, it's Steady Tail Lion Yakon. You should have served as chairman for operation for the CDC in North Dakota.
I remember Leon today with the CDC.
Now,
They got to announce a brand.
I'm in Nima County as a global chairman for the Steady Tail Lion Nima for We Are Response Accelerator. I think you can see that some of my members are participating in this show tonight.
The naked need. You know what, bro? All the Sunday people on tonight.
Oh, I got a story. I'm going to sit. I'm going to show Johnson. I'm dealing with a young intellectual from Nima. So
yeah,
we're going to sit. Prince Senator Johnson. I'm going to decide for the county.
I remember ask Nima County tonight, G.
Oh, Nima County, trust me. As a crewman from Grand Crew County who not knew anybody in Nima, enter into the society of Nima. It's one of the very vibrant and beautiful society in the country. They're very humble, submissive people.
Yeah.
Willing to work with people. Very, very impressive. Trust me. I got a family in it is the movement to teach Liberians how to work with one another across the board. That's the need for the dispensation.
That is a good initiative, my brother. Yeah, what do you have to say about today's topic?
Already, as the caller that was there, just a buttress to the idea, and Mr. Mallay also said that we need to go radical on when it comes to our curriculum.
Don't enable Mallay with your radical team. I'm begging you, man. Remember they give me a with the radical.
There's not so much of the politics, but a little bit of politics inside. I can show you that the West African people, the other country. They have some provisions that they're making that citizens will be doing well, and they're doing well out there, everywhere. But while Liberia, so because the government not really have the provisions in there to really enable our students to really, take full advantage of it. But during the 12 years of every time, the past more than 27 students that we can feel all these type of investment, results. So, but again, you can show employ, President Weah now, they provide study class, teachers to help our students now. They're doing well since the 6 years. At least they're trying in the past. But however, we still need to go radical, sense that We know United States. Most of our people travel to the United States. We are interrelated with these people here. So we need to adjust our curriculum in the sense that it will fit our people with them. For each time when our students or any of our intellectuals having to come into the United States, then none of them denoting them with other low standard people, or you have to do things all over. That has been a serious, HO problem, and we need to solve that problem. But one thing we should applaud the current administration, President we are that they try to
whole show over
they
to
have
CDC
the
Captain
provisions in it, and the library students have tried their best ever before the local wise issue.
My man,
So
now your team about food you call it also they will charge you heavy.
Really, my team by next week will be appearing on Library Public Radio from Nima. You will see the vibrant young intellectuals, the decision makers for Nima County of the new dispensation.
Okay, my brother.
Will be appearing on next week. But Mr. Myers, you are really kind of serious political analyst, and apart from the politics, Sizi Goyah, we see all the things that our library society should make adjustments. Some of you very good academicians to really come on board to really resuscitate our library education system. Thank you.
All right, my brother. Take good care of yourself. Enjoy the motherland.
You too. Thank you.
So Mallay Jones, while I'm getting this other person on, I would be remiss if I don't ask you about the thing my brother just said. George Weah government is making some impact. At least they're paying for study hall for students, trying to alleviate the issue of. Okay.
Yes. Hello, guys.
Yeah, sorry. I tried to connect you. My apologies. I dropped you. Welcome to LeBron Public Radio. Who are we speaking with?
This is Doris Grimes. I'm usually listening to you all the time, but this one really got to me because
they want a special one.
Students that are coming from home, and when they open their mouths, they hardly speak, but they say they graduated from the University of Liberia. It kind of shambles me because it's the foundation. It's not like before. Liberia is not like before. These children are not getting the proper base. They're not getting the proper base through on to junior high. By the time you get to junior high, you should have mastered everything so you can get into high school. High school will make it very easy for you. And then when you go to set your YA, you'll be able to compete with the other West African countries that are members of YA. So YA has nothing to do with these children foundation. They only want to see if they were well educated from kindergarten up to 12th grade. And it's us in the country. These people come and say they are teachers. Half of them are not teachers because they went to school, stop in 8th grade or 9th grade or 10th grade, and come back and start teaching your kids. It's detrimental to a society, and that's why we are suffering today in Liberia, because Liberia used to be one of the countries that all the West African countries used to send their students to go to college, Cottonton and LU in Liberia. Now, we can't even do that because we are, well, Liberian men call saying we're trying to be CC, and that's what it is. We need to overhaul that educational system in Liberia. If we don't, hey, we're going back to illiteracy. We need to, because I've been so ashamed of the students when they come and open their mouths to speak. And about a year ago, we had a speaker from Liberia into Houston who, for the July 26th, and he was the press secretary or something to the president. I mean, this guy, we had to walk out while he was speaking because I don't know how he got the position and how he got to that place. He was just dumb. So you come to speak on the July 26th issue. I don't want to know about your budget in Liberia. That's not what they ask you to come to speak for. Speak on how we can contribute to the development of the Republic.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Grimes. Hopefully they are listening and will find a way to stop being PC. Appreciate you so much. You're in Houston. I used to be in Texas too, though, so I was in Dallas Fort Worth. Thanks for calling tonight.
Well, I used to be member of Colossus.
Yeah. So you might know my dad, Sizi Goyah. We used to all be with we used to travel with Colossus to go down there when Charles Ford and everybody was with Colossus. I appreciate you for the night. Thanks for calling, Ms. Grimes.
You're welcome. I love your program, and I always listen to it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
You'll not believe one grandma person I call on the phone. Liberian Public Radio, this is Sizi Goyah. Who are we speaking with?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's your name and where you calling from?
Okay, this is Bad George.
I mean, today that YX show. What you calling for?
Congratulations on the show, but I just called. I'm a guest. I'm a caller.
Go ahead.
Why are you talking about George? By George,
they were doing a campaign launch yesterday. He invited me, so today he come on my show now.
Man, I will invite the citizen campaign to doing Joseph campaign yesterday.
How you doing, Pat George? Go ahead. What's your contribution?
I was just saying, this is your term. This is your area. First, I got a couple of observations. One, how is the corridor drawn up for wire? Because there are three. Let me put it into two categories. You got the francophone people and the anglophone people. Liberia, we speak English. Guinea speak French. How is the corridor drawn up to meet the needs of the standard of these countries? One, I don't know, maybe you can help me. Then, the Liberian curriculum, how it is run to fit into WIAC, that the material they will present to the students, it be something that they have walked and have teach them through, walked them through. Two, do we really have the foundation, kindergarten to sixth grade? What is the curriculum that meet the standard of Nigeria, Ghana, and other like Gambia, this country? What is the curriculum? Is there parallel to those countries? Now, the fourth, for me, I want the wire gone. If they cannot meet all these standards, I want the wire gone. And let Liberians, people like you people, organize a conference on educational reform in Liberia, where as a result of that conference, the government are in power, it will be mandatory that they implement the results of that conference with a budgetary support that will come from that conference. With that, I think our people, our students will be able to compete with any country in the world. It may not be, but I mean, it might be to some level that when they present the credentials, they will not question it. So these are just my observation I'm making. We will be prepared to go through that. What will be the short term, the medium term, the long term plan for Liberia education system? And I would want you to invite someone from the Ministry of Education and what they call tertiary or higher education in Liberia to come so we can have the discussion. So let me tell you something. Last year, I have a cousin graduating in the University of Liberia. Seriously. He sent me a text.
Hold on, Pastor George. I think
Please to announce the death of this person. I swear upon the fool I eat. I'm like, seriously, there's another guy is saying he is pleased to announce the death of XYZ. I immediately put the phone, I call him.
You are pleased to announce the death. Maybe the person suffered too much.
Seriously, I put the phone down, I called him immediately. I said, delete that text. Come on. I said, when you ever saw that people said, please announce the death of somebody. And he didn't say them out because the person wanted to talk to the person from. He said, hey, to the other person come, did you see that text? I said, I just called him. So these are are some of the things we're talking about? Well, if let me say this, I think it's a money-making institution. Because I don't know what they presented to our countries to meet the standard. Because how Ghanaians, Nigerians, hope is going hard back in wires, and why are we Nigerian control to fall back? So the question is, what are we doing differently? And why I explain to the Nigerian people all about Ministry of Education and the higher institution for higher learning in Liberia. What are the material they are presenting to our children? And last, let me close on this. Maybe I think Mother must know the guy. He got from Legon, one Amos Kuno. Amos Kuno went to Legon. I met him.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay. Let me say my witness family. Amos Kuno graduated from BWI. There was a guy who was teaching BWI. This guy was a Ghanaian, told people that he had a master's degree from Ghana, from Legon University. And this guy, Amos Kuno, said the guy used to cuss in the class. Do you know what Amos Kuno went to Ghana? He enrolled at the University of Legon. One day, they finished all talking. He saw the guy coming. Then he got a problem. The man put his finger in. Put his finger to his mouth. Say, like, don't say anything. He must say he can't grab among the people. He said, don't say anything. He said, Pop. He said, don't call me Pop. He said, what happened? He said, I stood here. He must say he put his hand on his head. He said, what?
Okay.
This guy, who is in front of you, and then when you were not even a councilman, but he that you have a man. So that's just it. People that someone come from Nigeria with all the credentials, our government needs to check them. Thank you for the show.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Pa George. Appreciate it. My brother Kemuko back again. So where is it, G?
Yeah, thank you again. I don't want to, when they focus say the US workers in Monopoly, the whole show tonight, but I just want to squeeze this in. You know, this topic is very important. Our man that called from Houston, and shout out to H-Town, my hometown on our side. We got to be serious about this thing, Mr. Goyah and Mr. MALLAY. Our system needs to be looked at radically, like Mr. MALLAY said. We need to overhaul the system. We need to understand.
Amen. I bring new to on the show again.
Yeah, what we really want as a country educationally. We can be following other people's curriculum and expecting to school better than them. It's difficult. Let me just put it the other way around. Because most high school in Liberia or junior high school in Liberia, they don't have a laboratory. And trust me, you go take chemistry, physics, and you have never seen anything in the lab that can even help you to understand what you write on our paper. Tell me, will you pass it? Nope. It's hard. How many high schools in Liberia get up to, laboratories that match up to the people in Ghana or Nigeria if you go around? So we shouldn't be saying, sending a speech to other people. The system needs to be overhauled. Why do you have to play a major role? What Mr. MALLAY was saying, why we're very interested in the education system when the war, was over, was being out, just said they should have come in, help build up the system, to help the school system. They never did it. All they want is to receive students, take the test. When they fail, they go back again, they do the same thing over and over, and nothing improves in our country. Like the other brother said, and I will come to him. He said something that's very important. You leave from Liberia, you travel outside Liberia, they degrade you. If Liberia education system was on par with the United States, it will be difficult for them to get degrade Liberian students. It will be difficult because they know the same thing they're going through, you're going through the same thing in Liberia. But we are confused people in that particular West Africa there. Everything we want to hold on to it. We don't even know what we're looking for. So it's time that Mr. MALLAY, I want to recommend to Mr. MALLAY, he should have a special podcast on the particular topic. Let's keep this thing up so that the people in the ministry they can understand it and change the system. And lastly, to national is have a politics. If you in Nima Kante there, and about your job, we have business, if we're not bringing on this show to that, you should be asking George, why is it that you be paying, each undergrad study class fee? You should be thinking about the economy so parents can have jobs Wait, I'm coming, Mr. Goyah. You just left for America. You think Joe Biden is paying post undergrad study class fee around town here? No, parents here are working and they're doing the best that children are going to school. So don't carry that lazy argument in my country.
My man, can I see you? Y'all come in my show, go to the left here, my big him.
Wait, it's not politics. It's not politics. We are paying for telegraphy. What was that? What's that? And you coming from America? Come on, man.
All right. Okay, my brother. Thank you, my man. Thanks for following us.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mallay, there was one call coming through. Let me make that call, and we'll close on the hour, at the top of the hour. But there was somebody calling from a 713 number earlier. Jay Chayo. Let me see if I get that person back. And then I'll get back to you. Because I know there are some things you want to close on.
Hello?
Yes, hello. This is Sizi Goyah, Lpr. I missed a call from you.
This is Doris.
Oh, Doris, sorry. Okay, I will talk already. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Graham.
Okay.
All right. Okay, my brother Mallay.
Yep.
So, there is an issue of curriculum that got brought up. And even though we didn't want to politicize this, but we talk about the barriers, right? The barriers to, whether our students are competing, whether they're on par, right? If you have to go look for money to pay wire school fee, do you have the time to study? Wire fees? Do you have the time to study? If you need extra study hall, like the brother Call said, now the president is provided that. Do you think those are incremental things that are going to help in the long run, or are they just we're just throwing water in the ocean?
I think those are short-term arrangements, which will not have much impact on us. But here is my take. First of all, I want to take my hat off to Doris. I think she nailed the right thing on the head. The foundation for the generation of students in Liberia now. Probably we can consider them a little bit, but we need to go back to our foundation root, that elementary and junior high. If we don't straighten that error, Liberia will be in trouble. Yes. And secondly, the issue of the curriculum. It also ties in with the issue of qualified teachers. Do we have qualified teachers? If the answer is yes, are they well paid? Because you realize most of our teachers have become parasites on students. Most of our teachers have gone into producing pamphlet and leaflet and all kinds of things just to mitigate their problem.
You say leaflet, it's not react upon releasing.
You see, so it's like the question now is, if the teachers have become parasite on students, that's a big problem. So His Excellency went to pay school fees. But I think His Excellency did a very good job. But paying the school fees was the wrong thing the Excellency ever did for students in Liberia. If Excellency had taken that money to build 1 or 2 libraries in a Vera County, or create just a reading room, and call ECOWAS and say, what are your curriculum? What the book the children are reading that our children are not reading? And put it there. And let's see what happens. The registration, he tried to do a late effort as a president. That's a gesture. I appreciate it. But the application, I think it was the wrong place. All right? And besides that, Pajoy was just talking about the issue of the curriculum thing. Pajoy is very well right. Wire have got 6 standing committees. 6. Including the administration and finance committee. That one, they can't forget about that one anyway.
They put out the administration and finance. So
yes. Wire have got what I call school examination committee. They have got public service examination committee, all kinds of things. They have got the professional technical committee, executive committee, local committee. They have also got internal examination committee, as well as national examination committee. Then they get the executive conduct committee. They couldn't have sent one of the committee to Liberia to find out why the children feel like this.
The Liberia call for one of the committees to come and help them find out why the children feeling.
No,
Let's
but
play the advocate.
No, it also paint them black.
No, but I will give you this. If they're not losing money at all, why doesn't put money into advertisement, right? They don't need to advertise, right? It has become it is a necessary thing. I mean, it is required in Liberia, so they don't have to advertise. So my question to you is, if the business model, which we know WAEC is a business entity, and the business model is working, my question is, have we, and this is a devil's advocate question, Mr. Mallay, have we, Liberia, because we pay money to be in WAEC, have we asked these people to come and do those stress tests for us to find out which committee is supposed to come here and do the other work? Have we held them to account for that? Because the business model, if you're not asking me, I just sit back and keep making profit.
Okay. But then, equally so, I could come up with another debate. Say, according to the U.S. Human Rights Report, your educational system is corrupt. We want to help, but can you work on this area so we can come in? Then it becomes another problem. But here is my disappointment, Mr. Sizi. This thing is a revolving thing from administration to administration to administration to administration. Jawad Doris said, the foundation has been tampered with. And the foundation is being tampered with because of poverty. And poverty is imposed on the people because we have government that is not far-sighted. And the government have forgotten to realize that the basis of our society is not on the justice ministry. It's not on the judiciary. It's not RIA. It's not the revenue sector. All right? It's not LPRC. The basis of our society is rests on solid education.
That's why
so we have two things.
It's in the Constitution, Article 6.
Yes, we have two things that are confronting us right now: education and quality education. Now we have not even solved the issue of education yet. We can't even talk about the quality aspect that we'll handle another day.
So we got about 6 more minutes, and I'm gonna give you the chance to close out, because I know there are some things you might have wanted to talk about that we probably didn't get to. But Mr. Joyce asked a serious question. He asked me to opine, so let me take like 2 minutes to just talk about that. It's the issue of the curriculum and whether WAEC has a curriculum and what's Liberia curriculum. WAEC comes with standards, and the standards say these are the things we're expecting, to test on. And then it is incumbent upon us now to set up a curriculum, which is the textbooks, all the other pieces that come together to try to make sure that we are hitting those standards. I think what ought to happen in an ideal situation, Liberia has a set of standards. We have a curriculum that our schools follow, and by law, they have to meet certain things for us to say, yes, you are a qualified high school graduate. WAEC standards should be the floor. WAEC's expectation should be the floor, not the ceiling. Liberia's curriculum or expectations or standards should be the ceiling. And so, at minimum, schools in Liberia should be able to meet WAEC standards if we still continuing with WAEC. For enough of our students to pass WAEC, and we know WAEC is a gatekeeper. So if you don't pass WAEC, you're not a high school graduate. Mr. Mallay just talked about that. You win the lottery, you can't come to America because you don't have the WAEC certificate. It kind of snowballs down the road for you. And so that should be the floor. That should be the basic minimum. And then, of course, Liberia's standards and curriculum should be way higher than WAEC's expectation, because embedded within Liberia's curriculum and standards should be localized history, right? Local history. After we learn about Mansa Kanka Musa, we can talk about Chief Swakoko, right? After we talk about the Great Songhai Empire and the Malayan Empire, we'll go talk about the Kwanu Bonde chiefdom, right? And so to answer that question, yes, there are expectations from WAEC. There are standards, and Liberia has educational standards and curriculum. But the expectations from WAEC should be the floor and not the ceiling. But I think we have it somehow lopsided in our educational system right now. Mr. Mallay, it has been a pleasure having you on.
Because listen,
hold on. I want you to take the next 4 minutes. I know I just said a lot of tabata. Wrap that out in your closing, but my brother, it has been awesome having you on. You opened up a lot of places we gotta go look. So thank you for coming. You have the final say.
well, I want to thank you. Here is a sad story. It seems to be 1974. By then, our educational system were already structured. Then you have this, the wire jumping inside. Where did they find space? That's friction.
Your door open the key.
Yes. You see, I think there was some of our problem coming from. The word Pajoy said, that's friction. This thing were already structured and power on the 6334 motor. Now, because the business concept, like, bro, got to get there because the population of the student there is high. You know, 2023, according to my research, 2,350,000 candidates. You know what I mean? Even $1. And one student paying $1. Not good money for what? All right. So what we are seeing here is that
business model is.
yeah. So what we're seeing here is that I hope the next government that coming should really focus on the reform thing. You see, the educational system need constant reform. If Nigeria did it 8 times, yes. You see,
we are still doing it in America.
But what I notice is that now I know someone will come after me again. Now, if for any reason Joseph Baka wins, they're just going to send ministers in our place there to sit on the old system, and the same old problem will continue.
I will blame my brother who started the thing from
now, even if His Excellency President re-elect himself, he's not going to he's not going to look at anything down there. Okay.
The poor come for you tomorrow.
He is going to send minister down there, they sit down there and do the people business. But the question now is, if we have a government that come into play and say, hey, Mr. Minister, we need a reform and start our whole thing with reform in there. What I've been seeing is not correct. And Commission of Higher Education, please, there are too many good things on our book I've been reading before our elected president. I want them implemented to the bone. Now we're struggling with education. So in other words, the executive mansion will have to come in with some reinforcement or will boot people back to the back door. Yes. But I go back to Doris's suggestion. That foundation there, we got to go back to it and protect it. You can have all the best curriculum, Mr. Goyah. If you have poor teachers, they're going to be parasite on the student and they're going to be problem. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. The producer, are you ready to come back on?
Before you go away, I think if you have your own connection, let's try to contact Dale Bottle. He's the boss for Wire in Liberia. Okay. I think he need to answer some questions from our platform here. And besides that, we also need to contact Mr. Peter Barr. He's a Gambian. He was just elected as the registrar and the chief executive officer of Wire. That's a big money right down there for 5 years. So use your contact. Let's get some of these people, guys from the higher education, because the problem now when we enter into discussing the educational problem, man of Wire, then we'll be talking about some serious issue there, including criminal activity by teachers.
So simply put, to name Mr. Mallay Jones, simply put, your verdict on WAEC, what it says, simply put it for all, let's hear it.
My verdict on WAEC tonight, I see it as educational killing pills. Our students are swallowing it and they are dying gradually. Now, very soon, WAEC will soon be applicable to passport. You don't get it, and birth certificate. That politics.
You pass my F for you better to make it.
And Mr. Goyah, we got to find out why the wire issue has gone to the embassy. It's politicizing wire.
The simple put, we got to get rid of wire before us on the bone to JFK. You can get birth certificate.
That wire just go.
He said it should be what? Executor?
No, wire should be replaced.
My plan firing squad.
Wire should be placed on the firing squad.
Yeah, man, it's too radical.
You see, Kemo is in support of this radical reform.
The people start the men recruiting people small. Everybody come on there, radical democratic reform. But no, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, Mr. MALLAY. We all learned a lot today. You did a lot of research, and to the powers that be, if you're watching us, you're listening, we'd love to have your input. We'd love to get your perspective. We want to know what we know. Come and disabuse us of our ignorance, and for the betterment of Liberia, let's see how we can all put our heads together, simply put, to move Liberia forward. Thank you. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Producer.
Okay, what a great, I think I was on the wrong side of history, knowing what usually happens during our regular program. But I think you guys smoke a pig.
That one a politics.
So my guess, you never had a chance to talk to the Liberal today, right?
I see.
You ever talk to the Liberal or Keto?
I don't know why he didn't come on. I don't know. They think I was announced on the platform.
No, but Keto said when you say anything about your government, you say nothing to the end. So I want to live with Keto.
So let's have a Sunday final talk before you guys go. You guys are politically grounded too. We will talk all of these things at the end of the day. The cap there is going to. So who's going to be the next group that are going to be put in the coffin?
Oh, no, our own. We are going to be we are going to raise Lazarus from the dead. So we're waiting for West CDC buried. We are going.
I think a lot of people will support you. At least you raising someone from the dead.
Or instead of burying someone that
nobody wants
someone that is alive and is trying to.
We're carrying the broom. We are sweeping away bad things and bringing new fresh air. So
I show CDC the ban in their strategy war.
Have you guys also noticed, before we go home, and potentially that could be the conversation, CDC has managed to force other oppositions and other politicians to adapt their politicking. Do you remember that? This red beret thing here, Unity Party, ANC, Brigade, Jumping, Sao, everybody in there. So they are following the patterns of CDC. So I wouldn't be surprised if this time around nobody carry coffin. Maybe in 2019 somebody going to carry coffin. Is that possible?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
CDC has a registered trademark on carrying coffins. So anybody tried that, CDC was suing. They did it when they were in opposition.
Because that's their brand. Anybody try that, that would be. That's a serious violation of any sort of trademark. All right, gentlemen. Mr. Sizi Goyah himself, I think that was quite fascinating. And my guess, a lot of informative, educational, different programs going to be. And I agree with MALLAY. Maybe the Ministry of Education authority, if they would be willing to speak to that. I think I will have to reach out to the MCSS school system superintendent, who was also, I'm not sure, I don't, but I think he would love to have that here.
I would love to have my fellow math teacher, my brother, the MCSS superintendent, but I'm going to keep it at that.
All right, but okay, we'll see.
All
we
right.
hope politics will not keep in. Guys, thank you so much. Yeah, MALLAY?
Yeah, Mr. Moderator, before you go, we've got a tradition on this thing now. The last time I had to apologize for something, and it's like I'm still feeling the side effects. So for reference to our discussion today,
you said feeling the
side effect, yeah.
MALLAY is a mess.
Some of our references today, we have Thomas Livingstone, 1976 participation. He titled of his release is Exploration of American Higher Education to West Africa, Liberia College, page 248. That one of the references. You can go to wire.com history. Wire.com, Liberia involvement since 1974, Liberia educational history and work, and the World Bank 2017 tertiary education Sabbath system approach. You can go to the references and you will follow through on all our discussion today. On this platform, we don't tend to be fake. And when we bring subjective thing and it become critical, we got to withdraw and apologize. Thank you.
No, but Mr. Mallay, you did good. That's why I say you did very good research, because I kept looking as you were speaking. I kept looking back and forth at my questions, because I too had come up with some research and you were hating everything. So yeah, very appropriate. Like we say, Liberian Public Radio is like no other place.
He's especially in education, so but I don't know why he's so politically grounded. Anyway, that's part of it.
No. I'm so politically grounded because the platform has structured me in that direction.
Okay, guys. Well, gentlemen, Sizi, you really nailed the Sunday today, and I think we need more of this. And that's how it should be. With our 1%, 2%, this network, this institution must survive. We shouldn't. It shouldn't be branded on a particular. Is for Liberia, and what I saw, Sizi, the Liberal or MALLAY, somebody should be able to intercede, and that's exactly what you did today. Yeah. All right, guys.
So I will always be available on Sunday if you need me.
Absolutely. Okay. When we get some of those, if I'm going forward now, even when I get people coming on, because we keep asking the education question, I'll make sure it's not just.
I think the lady that called in.
Don't forget, you get a part B to this thing here. The entire educational ministry need to go under a microscope.
Trust me, there is up to a part F on my list. So we got a whole thing.
This guy, I think he's moving the directions of Donald J. Trump now. That's the movement he's trying to build right now, from what I see. So, Sizi, I think the lady that just called in, Doris, right?
Mm-hmm.
She made Doris, the lady that called in.
Yeah.
I listened to her, and that was a silly point. And I think we hope to encourage ladies, and like I said, perhaps because then everybody finds interest in this politics. Politics seems to be the breadwinner and making big call ultimate decisions, so it affects people. But I think people want to discuss other things, and I'm hoping that with the campaign officially open, these people, major stake actors, we will start hearing more policy conversation from them instead of this sort of red meat, meat without no flesh on it here. We need to know specific now. Hopefully, maybe we can start with your guy, maybe Tiawan. He's been on the ride, he's been on the issue, but I think the window is open now. So I think hopefully maybe you can help us to start with him. How's that?
I will do what I can do in the background to make.
And then maybe Mallay June can help out with Alexander Benedict Cummings. You were on SKTV today. I don't know, maybe Mallay, and then maybe Liberal can help out with Ambassador Joseph Boyka. Keto can help out with.
Before we close,
you're trying to entangle me.
No, my happy birthday to Councillor Tiawansi Gonglo. Today was his birthday. My revolutionary salute to you, Councillor. So I gotta go, man. So thank you.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you tonight, man. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, Mallay John. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. That's how we're gonna do it today. I see you like this. Stay on the clock. I gotta do the people work doing some cleaning up here. So to get a end of month, you gotta get stuff going. I want to thank all of you so much. That's simply put by Sizi Goyah, who is also a senior analyst of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. So let's give you with this beautiful song from the Nima Princess of Self, Don't Wait. All right, that's it. That's Princess Jemima Walker, the Liberian gospel artist based in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia, sending her home this evening. Thank you so much, viewers, our follow-up man from Nima County. Thank you so much. And all of you that took off your time this evening. Thank you so much for your time, your comments, your tweets. And of course, my senior brother based in Liberia, that's Gardnersville, Stephen Toba Estate, Tommy Salt. Good evening. Thank you so much for always joining and all of what you do. And then Mr. Victor B. Smith himself. Thank you so much, Victor. You need to come on this LPR yet. Now the politics, the glove are off now, so we need to have that sort of conversation. Folks, have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Fiber Queen of Woodland. Everyone that's looking for nice African for wedding, whatever fiber you need, you can just come over here. You have all this nice stuff. If you need ashebi, you guys can come over here for baby shower, for wedding. You guys are welcome. She have really nice stuff. You can see all over there, all those men over here. You don't have to go to the theater and then they're going to be telling you all kind of stories. You can just come here. They're already made. And for ladies, you can just look for whatever fiber you're looking for and match it for the men. And, your husband already have a shirt made. You can get stuff for your kids. You can get stuff for the whole family. We have African slippers and ashobi hair ties all over. We have different kinds of lists and everything. So you guys are welcome, okay? It's really nice. It's Fiber Queen. On 6695 off of Woodland. 6625 Woodland Avenue, okay? So you guys are welcome. You have nice stuff here for ladies, for men, for kids, and for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia is 100% African-owned business. At Fabric Queen, we are specialized in high-quality wax product, Swiss lace, jewelry, and beauty products that will make you shine like the queen of fabrics. We are located at 6625 on Woodland Avenue, 10 Philadelphia. Telephone number 215-800-0228. Tell the management of Fabrics Queens in Philadelphia is easy and salt of the Liberia Public Radio gives you this message. Tell all.